Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Heart of New York show. I have got one of the most colorful shows you'll see. Why? Because I got two of one of the best artists that you can come across in New York City. I got to tell you a little bit how I know these two gentlemen. Well, because my wife is an artist. And so when we display her art in Manhattan, well, this is how we found Jimmy Aponte. Because he came by us and he was not only help and an inspiration, he turns out to be a good friend on top of it all, but he has fantastic art. He's truly a professional. So we got Jimmy and we got James with us today, another incredible artist in the city of New York. And these guys are talented, gifted, and they display their art, as we would say, on the streets of Manhattan.
That's right.
Right on Prince Street. You guys are right in the middle of the excitement. Hey, why don't you say hi? Jimmy, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. And how does someone, to me it's a gift. What you got is a gift, brother. So how did you notice that you had this gift, and how did you get started, and how did you end up in Manhattan?
Oh, it was an adventure. It was an adventure that I went through this whole array of, I explored every single art till I find myself in the streets, just sharing, I guess, the fine art with everyone. But I'm a native New Yorker. I was born in the Bronx, and currently live in Queens. And I started, I guess, my art adventure through expressing myself through comedy and writing. And actually, I did that for like 8 years. I did comedy, production, writing. I did all that for 8 years, and then ultimately just found myself in the fine arts. It was just a way to express myself where I didn't have to force it upon my friends and family. Actually, they wanted to see this and buy it versus me trying to push them to come see a show. Yeah, but it's taken a while.
And you just... how do you know what type of... I know we're going to have some up on the screen so everyone can see it out there. What type of art that you do. There's one picture on 42nd Street in Bryant Park that people can see. You're a photographer, correct?
I am a fine arts photographer and a painter.
And a painter.
Yes.
Okay, so you do paintings also.
I do paintings.
And how do you become a great photographer like you? Is it the lighting? Is it what inspires you to take a picture of? How does it work?
All of the above, but I guess what makes me sort of my style special is my point of views. Mm-hmm. And I've been embracing technology, so all the pictures that I take are with my cell phone. I have an Apple device. And so I take these photographs, certain, the lighting, everything just has to be right, point of view, right time. So once you get that aspect of it and I get the print, that's when I add the paint. I paint over the pictures to just make it a whole different world.
There's another one that you'll see up on the screen, the subway.
It's actually the same photo that you saw last, a little up close, but...
I see an astronaut there, too.
It's a series, a new series that I'm playing with called the Spaceman series, and just exploring, I guess, life on Earth with our old school metro train, sort of making fun of where we're at in reality now, how we have technology of the future, but the elites are not using it. And so with this series, it's almost like we're in the future, but still using primitive technology.
That's interesting. James.
Pleasure to be here.
Welcome here. Glad you came. Tell everybody out there a little bit about yourself, brother. How did you become an aspiring artist?
Well, I was working with hospitality first, but always since a kid I've been doing artwork. And I've been painting since I was in the first grade and always was the creative kid. As I grew older, I had to get a serious career. Family kept pushing me to get a real career because we were all creative in the family. We get it from grandma. She used to create tailored suits and dresses back in her neighborhood. And I was always the talented kid in class, they said. And I was humbly growing on that and kept studying it and practicing and moving forward with that. But in college, I wanted to do web design, but figured out that I need to work with art supplies and real canvas. And
So you deal, now, is this full-time?
this is now full time.
Full-time, so you're a full-time artist, and Jimmy says he takes pictures and paints over and all that. You said something about you use a canvas.
Yeah, I get a canvas and I sketch it out and use paint and markers, anything that I can get our hands on.
One of those big canvases or a small one?
Yeah, either size, however they commission it or however they would like to, a big enough picture, I'll do it.
Oh, that's interesting. So someone can actually commission you. Let's see what that picture is right there coming up on the screen. So you like being down Prince Street between Broadway and Mercer?
Yeah, there's a lot of history there.
A lot of history there?
Yeah.
What kind of history?
Basquiat was there. Andy Warhol had a modeling agency there. So
No, right in that area,
In
right
that
there, huh?
area, yep.
I didn't know that.
So that inspires me always, that we're in the heart of the city. We're in the heart of where all the talented artists started emerging and really started the hustle. And it's aside from the galleries and how organized you grow up to be.
Uh-huh.
But I like the grit. Like, you know, it inspires any aspiring kid down there to really lace up his shoes right and hustle, you know, for the right things he wants.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Jimmy, when Angela was set up there by the High Line one time, and that's how we got to know you. I mean, you were a big help in giving us the inside information on a street artist, and he was very helpful and all that. Out of all the times that you've been out there, can you give a couple of stories, like some interesting stories that you could tell about the life and times of being a street artist?
So I started my career on Prince Street between Broadway and Mercer. I've since then moved a little further up north to Meatpacking District, High Line. But back on Prince Street days, just sort of learning how to. This picture is actually a photo painting of Long Island City, Queens. But crazy story that happened to me. There's so many crazy stories, but I guess one interesting one. I remember just setting up my work, and you know, through trial and error, you learn how to hang it, you know, where to hang it. But this was probably like, you know, month 4, and so I'm leaning my pictures framed on the floor. On canvas, these are photo paintings, and so you have a million people walking by, constantly back and forth. And I remember a little dog just peeing on my piece that's leaning on the floor.
Right there.
Right, I didn't notice it all up until I was packing up, and then I just feel wet, and I'm like, oh, this is a freaking dog pissed on my artwork.
So what happened? Did they pay for it?
No, this is when I closed up shop. But what I did was I ended up painting over it, and then selling it to someone, and then miraculously this person hung the piece up like on top of their freaking in the bathroom above the toilet. So
How about that?
if this person is watching, I'm sorry, bro, but you got a good deal off of it. But it definitely, I guess, if it smells like a bathroom, or if your bathroom smells bad, it's probably not your bathroom.
So what's your next stop? I mean, how do you become like an Andy Warhol or something like that? That's what the dream is, right? To be like a Picasso or whatever you know.
No, I'd say my dream is more to just enlighten and inspire. Oh, like this picture right here. It's a photo painting taken on Prince Street between Broadway and Mercer. This bird, took it with my cell phone. I started taking pictures of this bird and chasing it, and it couldn't go anywhere. So it sort of bounced off the wall, and it looked at me, and miraculously it said free mind. And I caught him right in between free. It's a piece called Jailbird. He's free. I like to imagine we're all free, in theory. Specifically birds. I like ever since taking that picture, I hear a lot of Europeans talking about how pigeons originated in Europe, and the pilgrims they brought them over here for food. Then they just mass populated because they didn't have a natural predator, thus them being free in America because no one wants to eat them. But yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting with the free behind it and all that. That's very creative, brother. Very creative. James, let's hear one of your most exciting stories being out there.
I can say when I sold a painting to Spike Lee, it came out of nowhere.
You sold a painting to Spike Lee. Did you know it was him when he came by? Tell us about it.
So I had heard that he was in the neighborhood,
Right.
probably for some meetings because there's many clothing brands around there. And I started setting up shop maybe at 12 noon. And my partner next to me was he would sell cell phone cases. So he's like, hey, look, it's Spike Lee. So I immediately popped my head up. I saw him walking down the block and I yell at him, hey, Spike, hold on. And he looks back like it's one of his buddies or something. So my other boy, Aton, across the street next to Jimmy, was like, hold on, he's got a gift for you or something. So Spike Lee held his space there, and I ran over, grabbed this painting of Bill Dunn that passed away a little while after that, and I go to him, and
Is that you there?
yeah, that is me.
That's you,
Yep.
right?
Yep, that was at an event that we set up shop, and I bring paintings there, and a lot of people just come and check out the artwork. Sometimes I live paint as well. Got that from Jimmy. Jimmy shows up at top spots and paints too.
So what happened with Spike?
So Spike sees the painting and he's like, how much? I told him it's a gift for you. Here, enjoy it. And then he's like, no. Comes out, gives me $100, says, let's take a picture with it. I'm like, wow, amazing. And I do have a picture there.
Isn't
of
that something?
Spike Lee with me.
That's nice to hear when you tell. All of a sudden you say, here, it's a gift, and he just...
I remember I witnessed this whole thing. I remember
You were
being
there. You were there.
I
You
was,
saw
I
it.
was
Using his headphones.
I want to say like 20 yards away on the phone, and then I remember the person I was speaking to was just like, Jimmy, and this person was waiting for a response, and I just see her everything go down. I'm like, I was just flabbergasted, like, oh, yeah, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's a memorable experience there. Like,
So
you
what
wanna give
happened
it-
after that?
After that, he took his painting and I'm sure he hung it up somewhere in his collection.
Cool, man. What's up? What do we got up there on the screen now?
I scribble on my setups, invest in living artists. This is how I support all the artists out on the street and all the others that are underground. And I tell everyone to invest in the living artists because our living artists are the ones that are producing stuff now. They're not passed away, and it doesn't go to foundations and it doesn't go to collectors. It goes directly to the artist that's producing the artwork now for a future investment. So if you purchase a painting from Jimmy and I or someone on Prince Street, later on is when the story continues and you've invested on an original artwork that a living artist produced.
That's cool. And what is that all entitled?
That all entitles how the growth of the city is and how artists can never give up on what their dreams are or what they would like to pursue in spreading either inspiration or just spreading their name.
Have you guys come across anybody else, well-named celebrities or anything like that? Because I've heard stories like people come by and they buy paintings and all that right on the street for like $10,000, $19,000. Is all that true?
We hear those stories.
I say like, I mean, there's certain artists that just. This is a part of the Spaceman series. A piece called "Vacation on Earth" on High Street.
Are those flying saucers in the background?
Those are flying saucers. It's actually so that this little gray alien just wants to experience this jet propulsion, primitive technology. Just want to experience what it's like to be in the past. And then his friends are in the background, just sort of looking in, like, all right, let's see how this works out.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was cool.
I really like that one. I like that one, especially the flying saucers. When I didn't even notice his flying saucers until now. I just, before we started, I saw the picture itself, and it's a beautiful one. And you guys are part of this whole beautiful thing in this city.
Say the Renaissance right now. It's like a little Renaissance.
I'd like to say it like
it's a
that.
renaissance.
Yep.
And how, I mean, you hear about things in the city that they want to start shutting things down and make it harder on artists. Are you guys aware of that?
I've heard because of your wife Angela. She's forwarded me some info. This
Here's
is
another picture.
There's a picture. I was going home on the M train in somewhere in Bushwick, and I just saw these workers putting on the LED screens, and I just snapped a bunch of shots, and it just sort of they remind me like they're sort of like break fixing instead of break dancing.
Right. I see that. Yeah.
They're break fixing. You know.
There you go. We caught you doing some right there, brother. That's interesting. So, all right, you guys go out there how many times a week?
I'd say all the time I'm broke.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, look,
You know,
can you think of anything? All of a sudden, all right, you need money, you just pack up and you go out and you're there and you make money. I mean, what's better than that?
A lot of things are better than that, but but this is what I have.
Oh, now, how about when you walk by these studios and you see all these art in the window? What's different? I mean, would you rather be in there or would you rather be on the streets?
Actually, I wouldn't mind both.
I wouldn't mind both either. It would be great.
Because I mean, it's gonna be 90-degree weather this week, you know, and
Right.
like I'm not going out.
And the sun is beaming.
So during those times, I'd like to be in air conditioned, and in the winter, vice versa.
So, but how much do you on a paint? Oh, let's talk about this one right here.
So this painting is Nipsey Hussle. He just passed away. He was a big leader with the hip hop community and the mainstream media. With also in his own community, he was a rapper. But there's conspiracies above that he knew a herbal medicinist.
Dr. Seppi.
Dr. Seppi, thanks for correcting. And he was working on a documentary to expose Dr. Seppi's knowledge about herbs.
You painted that?
I did. Yeah.
You painted that. That is very good
So
work.
someone
Look
requested
at
that
picture.
one.
I mean, I'm telling you,
Wait,
that's something else.
Tell them about your collage style too.
So after that, yeah,
All
I
right.
use newspaper for the clothing of all my paintings, and then layer up with layers of graffiti, layers of clouds. So it's all a mesh up. It's a lot of work all compressed into one to just give you one straight story. But the newspaper I got from recycling newspapers at the last job that I had. We would throw away newspapers. So
Right.
I was thinking maybe if I put it on my paintings later on, 50 years from now or 100 years from now, people will remember me as, you know,
That's a
trying to
great idea.
trying to save the environment somehow.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. How about this one?
This one is the corporate cartels or the bankers, my gorillas in suits. So the gorillas in suits is like a fine or a credit card statement in the collar and the tie. And then for the mainstream media and the fake news, I use the newspaper over it. And then the gorillas in suits is supposed to resemble the attitude of the ambitious entrepreneurs and the corporate cartels and bankers.
All right. How about look at this one? Okay.
Here's more subtle of a picture. The last one was a little scary with the gorillas in suits, but this one, I use newspaper cutouts for the buildings and how the city has that culture of we're getting so much propaganda hit to us every day. We go on the subway, we go on the street, you see big billboards, you see big bulletins. So that's where I got the newspaper idea of making the buildings out of newspaper and then painting a pretty skyline in the background.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay. How about this one?
This is a picture I took a long time ago, actually. I had a camera, a Canon Power Shot. It was a really small camera. I took this in a bar. I call it bar buzz. I seriously had a buzz, and I just put the shutter speed super low, opened up the iris, shook it, and took a fun little shot.
This is the first painting I sold out of a gallery that one of my cousins put me onto, but she was just walking by and saw someone setting up, and it was just off of spontaneousness that she asked if my cousin could show artwork, and luckily they said show up with maybe 2 or 3 pieces. I came with 10 and showed them some artwork, and maybe a month or 2 later that one sold for the first time out of a gallery. This one was one of the first skylines, and that's where I first started playing with the newspaper, seeing how to work with it, how glue would work, how the backgrounds would work. But I always focused on the backgrounds because I like to see sunsets since I was a kid. In the back of the car, I would see all the sunsets, and that's all we saw was the city skyline.
This is a photo painting taken from Long Island City, Queens. The top is the painting.
What do you mean by
part.
photo painting?
So it's a photograph,
Right.
And then I hand paint over the photograph. So
Okay.
the sky would be the painting, and then the middle bottom part is the photograph part of it.
Excellent. Beautiful. Let's see more.
There's a piece called "Welcome to the Trap House," the second floor, and it's just like a dingy, crazy place. So it's a photograph, and then I hand painted the paint dripping down, and then so I've been using fluorescent acrylics, so they glow for black light, and they also are 3D with 3D glasses.
That is, I like that one. That's something. What do you got there, bro?
There's an example of how I cut out the buildings, and then I paste them on one by one. So it's
Now,
a little,
these are recycled newspapers.
That's right.
That's creative. That's being an artist.
Thanks. Sometimes I catch, bulletins.
There you
and
are,
stuff.
right?
Yep. That's me on Prince Street across from Jimmy.
So, Jimmy, you're on the other side. You're not next to him.
When this picture was taken,
Okay.
I've since then moved out of the neighborhood up into the meatpacking district,
Right.
the Highline area.
And all those pictures down there, and this one, this is yours, Jimmy?
Yes, this is Welcome to the Trap House. The
To
first
the Trap House?
Yeah, Welcome to the Trap. So the first one you saw was Welcome to the Trap House, the second floor. This is the Welcome to the Trap House. This is just the first staircase that I found infested with graffiti. And this particular, so it's a photograph, and then I hand painted the paint dripping down along with the walls, just decked out the walls, and I think
So-
the next picture is like in fluorescent. This is a shot I took somewhere in Manhattan, but yeah, it's just a photograph in a puddle.
How'd you get so low?
So it's a really interesting technique. With the cell phones, the iris of the camera, it's up on top. If you were to put that upside down, the picture readjusts itself, but the point of view changes. So I put it upside down, the picture adjusts itself, the lens is like in the water practically, and you just snap away.
That's cool. Let's see more.
This is actually a famous picture of mine. I call it Tag City. It's a picture I took standing on the Manhattan Bridge overlooking Chinatown. This pic was taken in like 2013. And then so the sky is painted, giving it this crazy like end of times feel.
Would you want to
No, I just want to say something really. It's sort of like a PSA to everyone that likes art in general. Please support your local artist or an artist or someone who's selling the artist's work. Do not buy bootleg artwork, and you know who the bootleggers are, like the fake Banksies. If you see someone selling the same art and it just looks like something they got from the internet, do not buy this artwork from them. Like, they're stealing from other people. They're not paying any residuals.
and you get
Yeah.
a knockoff.
Yeah,
Because
you're
you
getting
don't
a
have the
knockoff.
original.
Versus you guys are the pros, and you do originals.
And they're bonds. You may pay $10, $15 now, but just imagine in the future, it's going to triple, double. Yeah, I just had to say that. But
Oh no,
They
no,
gotta know that.
that's
Yeah.
right. Listen, these guys right here, they're the real McCoy. And if you want art, I mean real art, you want to get, as they say, the originals. Okay, and that's all they carry. They carry originals, no copies, no, as they say, plagiarism in art or whatever like that. These are creative guys, okay, that you have just seen, all right, and how they're gifted to just take a picture, paint over it, or take a recycled newspaper, which I think is fascinating too. And then what you do with it there, you've all seen it out there. Jimmy, what do you have to say to someone that wants to do what you do? What kind of advice can you give them?
Advice, I'd say come up with a catalog of work. You cannot come up with one or two pictures. You got to come up with a nice catalog. I'd say like 20 pieces. And Go out. I'd say scout a neighborhood first. Do not just set up a table. Do not just show up anywhere that you think is cool and just set up a table, because there are politics in the street, and you will be dealt with accordingly. So I'd say scout, chat with the people around, the locals, see if it's cool. And yeah.
And team up with someone that you know. That's how we found Jimmy. He was a big help. We were in the right place at the right time. James,
And that's
what do you
how-
like to say to someone out there that wants to be like you?
Yeah, you got to be positive. Go out there each day with your collection of artwork, and wish for the best for yourself, and believe in yourself, because people will turn you down, but you got to stay positive on what you want to do, and help anyone else that needs help as well.
Isn't that beautiful?
This is one of my Gorillas in Suits stickers that's going to come out. It's supposed to resemble the corporate cartels, the bankers, and it just shows a broken arm with the bag of money, because we're working with fiat currency really here. So, this is Jimmy's piece here.
Jimmy, what's that?
It's a photo.
Oh, wait, stop,
Burp,
stop.
burp,
One sec.
burp.
Just James, because we have enough for Jimmy.
So this is how the Gorillas in Suits progressed after that first sale. I started using chalk pastels for the colors and making them more colorful. They are still a little scary, but they're growing still to this day.
I think what the city needs is more artists like this out there that are creative, that are originals, that are just really not that out there for themselves. As you could see that they're involved with organizations. They like to pass it on. They're also a big help to other artists that are starting, like my better half, Angela. And if they wanted to go see you, you can go to Highline, is Washington Street, or you can go to Prince
Prince and Broadway.
and see him there. God bless you all. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.